GM, GM. So, trade of the day, as I talked about yesterday, um, I'm not going to be taking as many higher time frame trades or holding swing trades. So things like Unibot, Multibit, I'm still holding both of them. By the way, haven't touched them yet, haven't changed them. But my plan is to consolidate a bunch of that. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of good risk opportunities for alts, meaning I don't think we'll see like a crazy alt season or anything. I do think we're super oversold, both sentiment wise and price wise on lower time frames. So I'm only looking at longs. But my trading strategy for the next few weeks is very, very short time frame. So like day trade, couple days, hold, long only. And there's a couple levels I want to see or things that I want to see happen. So like for example, we have one of them coming up here on Bitcoin, right? If we get back above this previous week's low and we get the above this dotted red line, which is roughly the same, but that was the automatic reaction bounce up into this high. So we swept out those stops, we sold off, we deviated right above it, back below it, back above it, back below it again. But the way it's kind of chopping above and below, I think it's more likely to actually go up. A lot of times, if this is truly bearish, it just rejects. And it's telling me, I think that any of these late shorts are primed to get squeezed. Anytime we dip back, it keeps getting bought up and up and up. So shorts are closing because shorts had a good run. And I don't know how many longs are piling into this yet. I still see quite a bit of fear sentiment. So what I'd be looking at for a trade is an hourly close. There's about 20 minutes left on this hourly. I don't know if it's going to happen on this hourly, but an hourly close back above the previous week's low. And then ideally a 4 hour close. That's one of the big things. So as a low time frame trader, if we see a 4 hour close back above 41,330, this level, I'd be looking at long scalps and day trades towards that level and then towards the breakdown point. So you can draw that full order block across the 4 hour, or you can zoom in and look at just the OB or just the actual breakdown point itself. For me, I like to see these kind of flat candles. Here's a flat candle with no upper wick. They tend to get hit. And so at some point, I'd be looking at some of that to get hit. So it's important when framing your lower time frame trading that you get your confirmation first, because the key is you don't want to sit in a trade for a long time, right? You don't want to just buy down here and wait for it to go up, right? Because that could mean it goes like this, could go down, could go sideways, and then up. That's not a great way to trade from here to here, right? If you have to sit through all that. So that's where you use some of your confirmations. And for me, like this previous week's low is clearly a key level. On the 1 hour, we've had a couple of closes. We had one, two closes above it. So if we start to close above it again now, like it's trying to do as we push into this next hourly close, I don't see why it would reject again before it goes to at least the weekly open. So that would be like me, that would be my trading bias for the next few hours. And then beyond that, you've got levels where I think if it goes to the weekly open and rejects, I don't think that's bearish. And then if it goes up to here, the real place where you could see it reject and go to new lows, in my opinion, would be here, right? Into that order block. That's where you could genuinely see a lower high form. So you can see this, right? You got a high, you got a low, you got a lower high, you got a lower low, you got a lower high to a new low. But when it does all the battling around here, and it hasn't done it yet, but if price makes its way from down here back inside this range, back inside this low, that's a sign to the market that it wants to go higher, not lower. So a lot of people will short it at this weekly open retest, and it might reject from there, right? You might see it push to there and go to new lows. That's not impossible, but it's quite unlikely. if all this battling at this level has been won by the bulls, they usually will get to push it a little bit higher. So I would be trading it very much on the low time frames. I don't see any point adding extra risk, because the further out you go into the future, the more risk there is. It's easier to predict what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes than it is to say what's going to happen in the next 2 months. That should be quite obvious, right? So even though you can't predict what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes, the point is, if you've trading setups that give you a low time frame move from here to there, or from here up to the red line, that's my focus, because I'm already fully long spot, Bitcoin, ETH, and some alts, AKT, etc. And I think overall the next few weeks are probably going to be more skewed to the downside than to the upside. A little bit more pain, as a lot of people just kind of cut their losses, take profits, whatever. And so just for this little window of time, I'm trying to make dollars, right? I want to make more dollars with my short-term trades. Whereas the other approach of holding something for 3 or 4 weeks, that's when I'm like, okay, I think this alt can 2x or 3x, whatever. I don't see those conditions being here for the next few weeks. So my focus is, can I just scalp a little bit out of Bitcoin and then get out, leave it in cash, and then wait, see if we go lower, see if we form a proper base. And once all that's done, then I'll be able to put it back in. Obviously, the plan is to get all this back into spot. This is the next few weeks are an accumulation game for sure. Fucking ignore all the FUD. Anyone who's FUDding the market at the moment is just going to be on the wrong side. They're just going to be on the wrong side. People will want to FUD the market in the lead up to the halving, the ETH ETFs, the fucking US election, the money printers going bird. Like, they're going to be on the wrong side of history. So you're going to hear me be a lot more short-term minded in the next few weeks. But high time frame, still bullish. GM.